I want to gut a cow. Hey, gang. Wowzer, do we have an amazing episode with you. Don Jamieson, remember him, who did Die Hard? He comes back to do one of the greatest films of all time, according to pretty much everybody, The Matrix. That's right, The Matrix. Don Jamieson, brass balls on this motherfucker. Before we get into it, guttingthesacredcow.com every single day. And check this out. You can get some Gutting the Sacred Cow stickers like I just show you right here. Why don't you hit us up on the DMs, on the old Soch, on the old Twitter, GTSC podcast. One sticker for $3 or three for $5. What the hell? Guttingthesacredcow.com every day for the blogs, for the merchandise. You know the drill. And to advertise with us, guttingthesacredcow at gmail.com. I'm not going to wait around anymore because I know you want to hear Don Jamieson try and take down the Matrix.
Gather round, here's what I know. It's just that this cow has got to go. I know some people kinda like it, yeah, it's trending right now. Yeah, that doesn't matter cause we're gutting the sacred cow.
I don't see a salad bar. Well, Mahoney said the best salad bar in town. Mahoney, that's right. Well, damn sure better have. Kevin Israel named that film.
I know I should know this one. You gave me such a softball last time.
This is a softball too. Really is.
Even I know this one.
I can't remember.
Don Jamieson's our guest yet again. If you remember him, he has the balls to take on the Titan known as Die Hard. Returning for this episode, Don, what is that movie? What is that quote from?
Jailhouse Rock.
No. So cute. Police Academy 4. Citizens on Patrol. Kevin Goatee, Kevin Israel, back with, like I said, Don Jamieson. And Don from the that Jamieson show on Compound Media. You can catch me on that. I was on that not too long ago as you listen to this. And Don, what else are you up to? Tell the good folks what you're up to, where we can find you.
Yeah, I'm on all the social medias, Don Jamieson. Like you said, that Jamieson show, my little rock and roll hang. And, I love having comics in the studio with me. And, we talk comedy, we talk rock. I'm not it's funny, man, because like what you guys do, and you know how clever I think this podcast is, but that's what you guys do. You guys are movie buffs, right? Mm-hmm. And what you do would be the equivalent of me, like just booking guests on that Jamieson show that hate rock albums.
You should.
Like that would bum me, but that would bum me out. Like, doesn't it bum you out every week? You got to sit and have one of the movies you love get torn to shreds.
Well, that rarely happens because if we do disagree with them, we tear them to shreds. They don't have the ammo that we do. That's for damn sure. No one has ever.
I have to say, and I've complained to Kevin about this a number of times. That since doing this show, which we've been at for about a year and a half now, I don't have as much fun watching movies anymore. Like I still love movies, but I start tearing everything apart and I can't. My wife actually said to me, she's like, you suck to watch movies now. I was like, I know, Ashley. I'm sorry. I can't help it.
Ashley, we just don't like dumb shit anymore. We've grown up. Sad as that is.
Right. And then on top of you guys get your feelings hurt for an hour. Then you bring on your comedian friends who basically they're set up to fail. We are the guests of dishonor because your audience is going to chew us up and spit us out. I got a lot of heat for trash and Die Hard, but I will say, your fans are smart movie people, and so they were fair. They were like, good. Jameson had some good arguments, but he was still out of bounds. So. I appreciate that. But yeah, everybody you have on is set up to fail.
Not true, because there are a lot of films that people pick that we fucking hate as much as they do. So what's our honest to God, our success, our like to this dislike ratio is what? Slightly more dislike. They're in a sense, we agree with them that film stinks more than fuck you, you're wrong. And sometimes just like, I like it, and I'm not going to die in the hill for it, a la Pirates of the Caribbean, where I'm like, it's fine, I like it. But I give my friend Don Jamieson all the credit in the world because he has chosen an absolute motherfucking juggernaut for his second. If you thought Die Hard was going to make your taint hot on fire, get a load of this one he's chosen for this one. He has chosen the absolute juggernaut. I can't use that word enough. Juggernaut, The Matrix, the fucking first Matrix, 1999, budget $63 million, box office draw $465.3 million. Turn that into 2021 dollars, $100.1 million budget, $738.9 million. Kevin, Israel, are you tumescent?
Oh man, that is, and first of all, Don, kudos to you for picking two movies that are literally at the top of the mountain. Like you're like that guy who just runs into a fight head down and doesn't look at who's on the other side. Like, God bless you for that. And number two, The Matrix is an action movie that inarguably revolutionized the way action movies were looked at. Like everything after The Matrix was trying to chase The Matrix. So I am very excited to hear your arguments for this movie.
And you hate, we're all comics, and you always hate to explain to people the joke, but let's just set it up now early, which is like, this is all in good fun. Obviously, if I don't take an extreme side, this is not going to be interesting. You won't have me back. No one will listen. But I will say, whatever movie studio put this out, they could have just flushed $63 million down the toilet, as far as I'm concerned. I do agree with Kevin. It did revolutionize something in my world. I didn't need to take Ambien after I saw this film.
Wow.
That's insane. By the way, flush $63 million. Did you not just hear me fucking tell you, not even 3 minutes ago, $465.3 million. That's 8 times almost ROI. So they didn't flush shit down, and they also made 2 garbage fucking sequels. Before we get into it, I know you're excited, Don. Quotes. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting ahead of even that. Jesus Christ, Kevin. IMDb, as we know, is a scale 1 through 10 with decimal points. Don Jamieson, you are a guest. You go first. What did The Matrix score in IMDb? 1 through 10 with decimals.
I mean, definitely at least an 8.
Okay, we'll call that 8.
I'll go 8.2.
8.2, Kevin, Israel.
9.3.
8.7.
That's low. That's low.
We split it.
I'm very surprised that it's that low. Critics' Rotten Tomatoes score, Kevin, Israel. You know the drill. What did the critics do?
I'm gonna stay with my 9s. I'm gonna go 93.
Don?
Rotten to 87.
Someone's got 2 showcases coming their way. And that's Don Jamieson, 88. 88.
Nice. Well done, Don.
I'm shocked.
I know it's a popular film.
Right.
Doesn't mean it's good.
Audience score, Don Jamieson, for Rotten Tomatoes, 1 through 100.
It's going to be right up there again. I think in the high 8. Maybe audience. Let's go. I'll go to 90 on this one.
Israel.
I'm going to say 95.
85.
Wow.
Ooh,
wow.
Shocked.
Yeah.
Shocked. Quotes. I know Kung Fu. Show me. Guns. Lots of guns. Also used in John Wick 3. Did you know that?
Yeah.
That's all the quotes I have for this one because they're too obvious. So I'll let my partner have a couple. So Kevin, Your Honor.
My name is Neo. And there is no spoon.
Yep. That was the key one. Don, any quotes jump out at you?
It's any quotes jump out? The only thing that jumped out at me was when they went to the club at the beginning of the movie. They were playing Rob Zombie in there. Yep. So at least for a couple minutes, I was having a good time.
5 fun facts. The studios did not want the Wachowskis to direct The Matrix at first, so they wrote and directed Bound, which became a modest hit. Recently rewatched it, pretty good.
Yeah.
Topless Jennifer Tilly and Gina Gershon. They're lesbian bank robbers, if you have not seen that, Kevin.
I have not.
Number 2, we all know Will Smith turned down the role of Neo, but want to take a few stabs on who did? Answers, all of them major A-listers, especially at the time. 4 guys.
Tom Cruise.
1. Any other guesses?
Who else? Chris Farley?
I mean, he was turned down in his coffin, but not the role.
Oh, okay. He was dead by then. All right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he would have got it.
My name is Neo, e vivo un Nebuchadnezzar down by the river.
I think I heard this one. I think I was gonna say Matrix. Brad Pitt.
Nope. Johnny Depp, Leonardo DiCaprio, and the one I would fucking kill to see, Nicolas Cage.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I actually like the idea of Will Smith in that role.
He would have brought something a little different.
Well, you know why he turned this down, right? What film did he go off to make instead of this? Wild Wild West.
Was that Wild Wild West?
Yeah.
Wild Wild West. Jesus.
He didn't go on tour with Jazzy Jeff.
Parents
just doesn't understand.
Yeah, there you go. Number 3, want to take a stab on who was considered for Morpheus. All very much A-level guys at the time. Well, yeah, all of them A-level guys at the time. I'll give you a hint. One of them, one black guy and 2 white guys.
Tom Berenger.
Lieutenant Barnes.
Yeah.
No.
Al Pacino.
Who? What was told for you was meant just for you. Samuel L. Jackson was one of them.
All right.
Very different movie. Russell Crowe, and my personal favorite, this would have been great, Sean Connery. How cool would that have been?
Yeah.
Number 4, Hugo Weaving modeled Agent Smith's voice after the Wachowskis.
They talk like androids?
I guess. Number 5, the 3-minute lobby shootout scene took 10 days to shoot.
Yeah, because that was they were all on those ropes and shit. That was
bonkers. It is now time.
I was about to put a rope around my neck by the time I got to that scene.
We wish you did.
Love you too.
Kevin Israel, this man is champing at the bit. He is he is taking the red pill down Hatred Boulevard. It's now time for Don Jamieson to gut the sacred cow.
All right, I'll start by saying this because I did do Die Hard, and I want to. I now want to apologize for all the things I said about Die Hard, because compared to The Matrix, Die Hard is Citizen Kane, The Godfather, Gone with the Wind, and Birth of a Nation compared to The Matrix, which is 2 hours and 15 minutes of just desperately trying to stay awake throughout painful dialogue, painful special effects, and painful acting. Just nothing reasonable or worth watching at all. And of course, it starts out with these movies. They never get the feds right. You know, the guys who are supposed to be feds, and they put them in the sunglasses, and they all play the role exactly the same way. Like there's this cocky person, and they're wearing sunglasses at night and inside, and it's like it's a parody of what a Fed would be. You know what I mean? Like, they put him in the suit, they put the dark glasses on him, but it looks ridiculous, and they act like they look, and so it always comes off poorly. The only guy that's ever played a Fed good is Clint Eastwood, and he's the only guy that can do it, apparently. So those guys were just as over the top as the Fed guys that were in Die Hard. Unbelievable, terrible acting, horrible.
All right. And wait, what Fed role was Eastwood great in The Line of Fire?
In The Line of Fire.
Right.
That's a patriot right there.
What about Tommy Lee Jones? He did a pretty good Fed.
Okay, yeah, Tommy Lee Jones. So you're right. Okay. You guys know movies better than I do, but
how about Keanu Reeves in Point Break? God damn it!
Okay, now you've gone off the rails.
I am FBI
agent. So good.
The opening scene is so over the top and ridiculous. You got this girl flying around the air, and just like Die Hard, there's bullets flying everywhere. Nothing hits her. Nothing gets close to anything. The truck runs her over. That doesn't kill her. It's like, you've already lost me for the whole rest of the movie, and I got 2 hours and 10 minutes left of this thing. So that's off-putting. Her name is Trinity. What is she, a stripper from New Jersey? What kind of name is that?
Not a science fiction fan, are you, Don?
No.
I do. I like science fiction. I've seen Terminator. I've seen Predator. I've seen E.T. All good films.
I'm shocked
because it's not
like
about.
E.T.
What's that?
I'm shocked you like E.T. I fucking love E.T. But that shocked me. You said you like E.T. All right.
There is a soft side to me. It's not just pure rage and hate. There's a soft side. But that's the thing. Like, that movie had suspense and all the dialogue just was really on point, I thought. And because I don't care about dialogue, like, to me, The Matrix is so boring. The dialogue was terrible. I couldn't figure out what was going on. Perfect example. I don't know if you guys saw A Quiet Place, that movie.
Yes, both of them. Very good.
So what is there, 10 pages of dialogue in the whole movie where you would normally have about 150 pages? Were you bored once in A Quiet Place?
No.
It was amazing.
No, they're very tense movies.
So that's the kind of movie, which is a sci-fi movie, that I love, because all the stuff isn't set up in the first, say, 5 to 10 minutes of the movie like it is in The Matrix. Keanu Reeves is not dying. Morpheus is not dying. The chick's not dying because they have to crowbar in a dumb romantic storyline in there. And it's like, and then all the other people, you go, all right, some of them might die, but you don't really care about those characters. So it's like, once you have that, what do you care about the movie after that? By the way, I once peed next to Larry Fishburne. I just wanted to throw that in there.
I like how you called him Larry. I like how you called him Larry Fishburne, because that's so funny. He started off as Larry Fishburne he was in Apocalypse Now. It was his first film. And are you ready for this? Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Oh, so should I address it?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I peed next to the guy. I didn't call him Larry.
Did you look?
Of course he did.
You know what, man? I didn't. I was a professional, but I did look over at him and he smiled at me. So I don't know if he was looking at me, but I did pee next to him in New York once.
How do you?
And he really is one of our.
How do you smile through a glory hole? How does that work?
No, that was a Samuel L. Jackson. I was consoling him that he didn't get the role in Matrix.
You never call a boner a smile, Kev?
I think Lawrence Fishburne is definitely one of the finest actors of our generation. But I think what takes away from his performance in this is the same thing that I see in a lot of movies like this, and also a lot of TV shows, particularly NCIS, Law and Order, all those crime shows. Everybody in those TV shows and in these kind of movies, they all act at the same exact level. Everything is urgent. Everything is this. There's no levels of acting. They're all acting the same. They're all just in a bad mood, and everything's And then when they have to make a point, they can take the sunglasses off and really drive the point home. But no one raises their voice in the whole movie. It's all flat. The dialogue just flatlines the entire movie. So, Fishburne, he goes, this is how I'm playing this character. Maybe he didn't know everyone else is going to play the same character. So, to me, it's like all the characters were just one big glob of monotone characters, It was like, I love Stephen Wright, but I don't need to see 6 of them in a row.
Wearing trench coats.
Right. Well, in a trench coat, look, and the trench coat didn't bother me. I worked with Bob Levy in the 90s. I like the Florida, the top to floor leather jacket. But the whole thing with the sunglasses, beyond ridiculous. Like I said, the guys who were like the feds with their dumb glasses on, then Fishburne with the glasses that didn't even have arms on the side. How do those stay on? What's he going? Was he swimming the 200 meter, whatever relay after this? At the end when they're shooting each other up in the scene that took 10 days to shoot, which I wouldn't have taken 10 minutes to shoot that scene. They're wearing sunglasses. Of course, they can see perfectly. I walk into a comedy club after driving there for a half hour with my sunglasses on. Someone says, hi, I can't even see who they are. I'm like, wait, hold on. Let me take my glasses off. These guys are shooting people with 13 guns in each hand. No problem. Everything's fine. It's all the same stuff from Die Hard. All the same nonsense. Nobody's getting hit except for the bad guys. So it's ridiculous. The whole thing on the phone with Morpheus, when he's in the office and Morpheus is directing him through an office that he's not even in. I mean, come on, give me a break. I mean, that was so lame. The only thing that would have made it funny is if Keanu Reeves ran into like Milton from Office Space. That would have been funny.
Looking from a stapler.
Yeah. I mean, there was so many sunglasses that night. I was waiting for a Corey Hart song to start playing in the background. Ridiculous. And then the best joke in the movie was terrible. You've been bugged. Ha ha ha. Yeah, because they put a real bug in them. Ugh. Fucking horrible. What else did I got here? What did I write? Meets Morpheus. He has sunglasses. Oh, the noir. Okay, I did that. And with that scene in the office, let's say the office is getting shot up where you work, Kevin. Would you be listening to a guy on the phone tell you how to get out of there? It'd be like, dude, I can't talk right now. I'm got to get my head blown off, and you'd figure a way out of there, right?
That's a safe assumption, yeah.
Right. I know you're supposed to suspend disbelief. I get that, but we're talking, this is the first 15 minutes of the film, and like everything is completely unbelievable. And then the most unbelievable thing of all, Neo doesn't know from anybody. He doesn't know from this broad that he met at the club. He didn't even like finger her or anything, right? Like there's nothing there. And then he's in front of this guy, Fishburne, who's an imposing character, this and that. And he gives him a choice. You take this pill, you go home. You take this pill, you go to hell. Oh, well, of course I got to take the pill that's going to take me to hell for the rest of the movie. I mean, come on. That's so corny. Just kidnap the guy and tell him you got to do this. You're the guy for the job. You're the one. You're the chosen one. We picked you. But for him to pick a pill, I'd go, no, I'm going home, bro. I just got yelled at work for not coming in on time. I got no time for your nonsense. You got no arms on your sunglasses. I can't even look at you.
Don had taken both pills and said, fuck it. One of these good things is going to happen. And by the way,
let's mix this shit up.
To be fair, it's really hard to finger a chick through leather pants. I'll give her credit on that one. That's a tough point.
Well, she looked good. She looked good in leather. Yeah, it is tough, but she looked good. She looked good in the leather pants. nice looking lady. And we will get to the whole romance part of it, you know. I don't know, you know, Reeves was in good shape. Maybe those were steroids he was giving him. I have no idea, you know. Maybe I was jealous. He has abs. I don't, you know, but just that scene where he had to make a choice, like, that's something James Spader does, like in every movie. Like he always finds himself in these weird situations and then he just kind of goes with it. But Spader pulls it off somehow. Like Spader just comes off as that guy that will go, yeah, okay, I'll go along with this. Oh, crashing your car off the highway turns you on, gets you horny.
Oh my!
I'll do that. Sure.
What a pull!
No problem.
Crash. That was NC-17.
Deborah Kara Unger. Come on, I'd crash a car for her.
Yeah. Her career crashed too.
So, and then So now he takes this pill, and now he's in the champagne glass from hell, like, you know, with slime in it, you know, like he's on his honeymoon in the Poconos somewhere, bathing in a champagne glass. He's got all these friggin' things like locked into him. And it's like, why would you take that pill? All this, now you got bolts in the back of your head and all this crazy shit. And all he should have done was just, you know, went back to work, you know. He didn't need to do all this stuff. Giant. Yeah, he's got a giant bolt in his head. He's got the plugins on his arms. And then this is in the part of the movie where it really started to fall asleep. Because at least some of that obviously had a visual element. But then all the dialogue after that is just boring exposition of artificial intelligence, which isn't even really a thing. And so it's like, it sounded like everyone's reading from an AI manual. You know, there's just no real conversation. It's not, hey, how you doing today? Right. It's like every monologue was meant to explain what's going on in the movie. And I didn't care what was going on in the movie at that point. And I still don't understand 90% of it, even though they explained it. And when you have to explain what's going on in the movie, it doesn't work out. You got to just know from watching it.
I see.
All right.
Fair.
Is that it?
And no.
Okay, keep going, baby.
Yeah. I don't have much more because this is where this was sort of the part of the film where I started to get angry that I was still watching it and realized I still have like 45 minutes to go. Then Neo pukes. I did simultaneously. The kung fu scene, unbearable. That was the only thing that would have made that good is if they unsynced the dialogue like the 70s karate movies. Other than that, jumping up and down and flipping all over the place. It was ridiculous. It was silly. I know it's a callback at the end, but an obvious one. You knew that was going to happen at the end with the last guy. Terrible. You know, I wanted to karate chop my TV at that point, I'll be honest. And for the rest of the movie, I just sat stone-faced and angry at you two fuckers for making me rewatch this again. So that's my review and sticking to it.
You're welcome.
What number do you give this 1 through 10?
1.
Wow. What? Didn't you give Die Hard a 1 or?
He didn't even pause. He didn't even have to think about it.
Oh. See, that's what you want when people come in here and go, you know, I didn't like it. 4.5. No, I'm glad you said 1. Fuck this film. I like that attitude. Doesn't mean we're necessarily going to agree with that or not, but we're going to find out. Before, Kevin, we go to you first, though. We forgot to do our new segment, and that is, of course, Ask a Gutter. Bango to ask Don Jamieson, are we living in a simulation? If yes, and if you have the option of continuing to exist in said simulation or fight machines in a real world hellscape, what would you choose?
If I had to fight machines,
right? Are we living? Are we living in a simulation? That should be the first question we answer.
Yeah, I don't. You know what? This is this doesn't come up on my nerd radar. This kind of stuff. I like I said, I like the Schwarzenegger films. You know, I like to like hang next to Arnie and mess. Fuck up the Predator or whatever. I don't. I don't know what. I don't really. I don't have a good answer for that. Obviously.
Fair.
I like living in the real world.
Brandon Oglesby asked, is your gutting based on real issues, or are you just that emo kid in high school that hates popular stuff?
I saw that one on Twitter.
Yeah.
This guy doesn't know me at all, but he kind of knows me a little bit. I'm a metalhead. I have always gone against the grain, so I usually don't like things that are super popular. But listen, you were surprised I liked E.T., so there's no reason that I shouldn't have liked this movie. I think Keanu Reeves is a good actor. I think Fishburne's a great actor. So
Larry,
I go in with an open mind, and I came out angry.
He also wants to know, what's your idea of good sci-fi movies and TV? I ask only because I've never heard of a good reason for not liking this movie that wasn't about the CGI. So he wants to know, what's your idea of good sci-fi movies and TV?
Well, I'll say this. I named the movies that I like pretty much, right. But I mean, and there's others, but the CGI to me was actually probably for me the best part of the movie, because at least there was some visual effect going on.
Yeah, it still holds up, I think. Kevin, agree?
Yeah. I was impressed by how well it held up.
Fantastic. I think that does it for Ask a Gutter. Does it? Yes, that'll do it for Ask a Gutter. Kevin Israel, why don't you start off tonight's session?
So this movie goes back to my senior year in college. I think it was one of the last things I did in my senior year of college. I went on a date and we went to see this movie, and I'm reminded how well they marketed this movie, because everybody wanted to see it and nobody had any fucking idea what this movie was about. You knew there was, I think there were some action scenes that you saw in the trailer, but you had no idea what it was going into it. And I remember walking out of this movie, and the girl I was dating at the time was like, all right, let's go to like a party or bar. And I was like, you got to shut up for a minute. Like, I need to think about what just happened. Like, I wanted to go sit somewhere and really consider this whole idea of being in a simulation. I think it really took me how much I didn't know about this movie. And especially in today's day and age, when you very rarely go into a movie and not know everything about the movie. So, this was probably one of the last big budget movies that really took that marketing chance of not telling you anything that you were getting into. So that always stood out to me as being such a cool kind of special experience, as one of the last times I went in excited about a movie with really no idea. I think Independence Day did it too. You just knew that the Capitol building exploded or the White House explodes. Yep. That was it. And they just don't do that anymore because they don't have the faith in the audience to take a chance. So, but the movie itself it hasn't aged great. It's aged okay, but there's a lot of stuff in it that a lot of the storytelling choices, I feel like, number one, they didn't have a lot of faith in the audience, because Don is right. They do explain a lot. And there's a lot that have the beginning of the movie when she's sitting in the desk and then the cops break in. Why is she just sitting there? There's no reason for her she's sitting in the corner of a room facing away from the door, just sitting there. And there's no explanation for why she's sitting there. And then when she goes to get Neo and they're in the club, which is, by the way, the quietest nightclub ever, because they're able to whisper to each other and have a conversation.
Oh, wait, yeah, Kevin, that's a great point. You just made two great points. Although I'll say the thing about her just sitting there when the cops came in was like her confidence at being like this kind of superhuman chick. Like, she knew she could kick their ass at a moment's notice. I sort of, let reality pass on that one. But the nightclub thing was so funny because she leans in to talk to Keanu, and she's like an inch away from his ear. And as she leans in, the music goes down. Yeah.
And if you've ever been drunk in a nightclub trying to talk to somebody before, you'll know you're like, hey, my name's Kevin. Levin? Kevin.
You're
Devin?
trying to fold their ear down.
Gavin.
Gavin. Good enough. Go with whatever you believe. But my question is, and this has always bothered me, why didn't she just take Neo to see Morpheus at that point? She was with him. He was there. She was telling him that he's in danger. She could have just taken him to see Morpheus at that point. They didn't have to go through that whole rigmarole of him getting the phone and getting chased around the building and then getting taken hostage by captured by the agents. That whole thing she was right there. You could have cut out almost 20 minutes of this movie that was sort of the scene, obviously being held by the agents was cool and moved the plot forward a little bit. But the whole scene in the office, I don't know that did a lot. And I didn't realize, and I almost felt like I was watching the wrong version of the movie. I didn't remember there was this abrupt edit from him standing. He's like looking out on the ledge, and then suddenly he's being arrested and taken into the car. And there was nothing that explained, like, how did they get him? Did he go back obviously he went back in the building. That was such an abrupt edit. It felt like there was probably more there and they had to shorten it. So they just cut it out because it was a very awkward transition. The scene where he is captured and being held by the cops or the agents is so awesome. I love in movies, and this does happen in real life, where people say, I know my rights. No, you don't. You don't know your rights. And you think you do. And if you knew your rights, you wouldn't be talking at all. And whenever they go, I want my one call, that's not really a thing. They can give you a call and you're allowed to have a lawyer, but there's not this thing where you get one phone call. That was something made up by the movies and then just propagated through movies. And now probably every perp who gets booked for something is like, I want my one call. And the cops are like, we don't have to give you a fucking call. Where are you getting this from? You watch too many cop movies.
It's like when people don't say goodbye on the phone. It's just become a thing.
Yeah, right. Exactly. The scene where the going back to the scene in where they're interrogating him, they suddenly they're a bunch of guys and they're like a bunch of big guys in suits, and suddenly they knock him down on the table and they start tearing his clothes off. I would have been like, oh my God, okay, they're just putting a robot in my stomach. I thought this was going to go somewhere else so much worse. I'll deal with this thing in my gut because I thought I was about to get raped in the ass by you weirdos. And then so then he finally goes and he meets with Morpheus. And by the way, if they were able to take out that the bug, if they had that whole device that they could have taken out the bug, then again, they really didn't need to go through the whole process of trying to coach him to avoid the agents, because they could have just let that whole thing happen and then sucked the thing out of him. That wasn't even like a big deal. So there was a lot in this movie that happened that feels like it could have been avoided, but they needed to tell the story in a certain way. So the story, and again, this is just because I've become so hyper analytical because of this fucking podcast that it all stands out to me. And one of my big problems with this movie has always been, and I've never wanted to spend the time to figure it out, the whole science behind they have to be at a landline to call into the ship to be sucked back to the ship. They can't do it from a cell phone for some reason. And it has to be a landline, and they have to get the call. It never quite made sense to me. And it almost felt like storytelling where they're like, just go with it. Just trust us. This is how it works. And because then there's also the scene where Morpheus comes into the ship and he's like, we need to go up to transmitting level. So obviously they have to go up to a certain height so they can get into the Matrix. And how exactly do they plug into the Matrix? And then to keep the whole science of that being awkward, where they first have the encounter with the agents and they're in that building and the agents and they're like, I guess they were trying to call in so they could get back to the ship, and the agents cut the line going to the building and they're like, they cut the line, so now they can't get out. Why did that line matter? That line wasn't real. None of that's real. That line is a figment created by a program. It's not an actual line to anything. So if they keep telling you that like everything in the Matrix is in your mind and you can do whatever you want, if you believe it, essentially, if you believe you can do something in the Matrix, you can do it. Then you should just be able to almost through your mind contact the ship and send out a signal, because that's all any of this is. It's all just programming being sent in one way or another. So it all just it never added up for me on like my 10th rewatch of this movie. I never thought about any of this before, but I've seen this movie so many times that that you some of it does stand out to me. Like
but
when
I just wanted to jump in real quick. You still win in this scenario, Kevin, because I'm just learning right now, after watching the movie a little over 24 hours ago, that they were on a ship.
It was a hovercraft.
I had no idea.
The Nebuchadnezzar.
Zero idea.
Yeah.
They needed the cable. They needed the cable so they could go travel. Because if willy nilly, you can't travel back into to life without the cable. That makes perfect sense, I think. Because if it's just a random cell phone,
but the cable doesn't really exist. That cable only exists in the Matrix. It exists as much as anything else that he says doesn't exist or does exist. It's not a hard cable actually going in to anything.
I was in the version it's a hard wire into the Matrix. That's why you have to be unplugged. Like you just can't pull your phone out of your computer without ejecting it, kind of thing. That was the whole point. And you know what? And I could be 100% wrong on this. It just never quite added up to me.
Something else that never added up to me when Neo first wakes up in the champagne glasses, Don so eloquently called it, and that robot pops up and it like looks at him. Clearly something's gone wrong here. Clearly he's not supposed to be awake. And it picks him up and it holds him by his neck, and then it just drops him in and lets him go. Why wouldn't it just kill him? It would have just totally it would have totally just killed him, and then the movie would have been over. But for some unknown reason that they don't even bother to try to explain, like at least if they were like, oh, and the reason that robot let you go was because you were the one and you were able to control it. No, it just lets him go, and then he gets saved by the giant claw arcade game thing that pulls him out of the soup. Which, by the way, the fact that they were able to dig him out of that goop with that thing, that was some talent there. And then when and I love this, the history, the story behind this, but I would have loved it if when Morpheus was explaining to Neo what happened, and then the robots came, the machines came in and they took over and blah blah blah. I wish Neo had been like Terminator. Because he was supposed to have existed in the 90s, like Terminator that existed, and the movies run so parallel to each other. It would have been a little fun wink and a nod. But that gets me to one of my main problems with this movie. This movie has no sense of humor. At no point does it have any, and you have to think you have this guy who's essentially a time traveler. He thinks he's in the 90s, and then he suddenly finds himself in 2199 or 2299, whatever it was. And he doesn't have that. He has no sarcasm, no way. And most people in awkward, uncomfortable situations usually resort to their humor as a defense mechanism, as a way of coping with it. He doesn't. He kind of does it a little bit once or twice, where he's going to jump off the building and he's like sort of talking to himself. But that's almost where I think Will Smith would have made this movie better, because he would have had a little humor and a little life to it. This is, in my opinion, one of Keanu's worst performances in a movie, because he's so just monotone.
Wait, hold on. Let me shit on your point. How many times besides "fuck you, asshole" in Terminator did you laugh?
Terminator 1 or Terminator 2?
1. No, 2's got some jokes. 1. Same premise.
Terminator 1, no, none.
There you go. Okay, so
but Terminator. And I'm not and I'm not saying every movie has to have it. Terminator. The first Terminator was basically just a long chase movie. Like the whole movie was them just being chased and trying to survive for their lives. This movie does have some slow points where they're kind of talking and where they're learning and they're having there some character development points. There was really no character development in Terminator 1. Terminator 1 was, here's this girl, she fucked this guy, and this thing's now trying to kill her. And that's the movie. And then it's just her trying to survive this. This movie, there was actual character development. There was plot development. And there was points where there could have been some levity and some humor and some sort of human moments. In Terminator, I could believe that I wouldn't be because I'm running the whole time. But there is some down points in this where he could have some sarcasm, something would have happened that made him a little more human. And I agree with Don where everybody was almost that flat. And that's why that kid, what's his name, Rat or whatever the kid's name is, Mouse. Thank you. Almost comes off out of place because every now and then he has this like weird little line where he's like he's a creep or whatever, and he's trying to make him have sex with the lady in the red dress. And he almost seems out of place because everybody is so monotone. And I guess if you get beaten down by years of living underground because you're about to be killed by robots, maybe that's the way it would go. But
but you had Joe Pants. You had Joe Pants in there. He would have been. Joe Pants is the greatest. Like he could have been the comic foil in that. And he's pretty much the only guy who did sort of break out of that monotone thing, man. I was waiting for him to turn into the guy from Midnight Run, man. That would have been awesome, man.
Hey, you know what?
They got the Duke. They got the Duke.
See you at the airport, Marvin.
And thank you for that segue, because Cypher, who was that character, I totally get where he's coming from.
Sure.
That decision that he makes, and that, I mean, clearly he's a piece of shit. And he turns on them and he ends up killing them. And I almost think if he didn't do that, if he didn't actually murder his whole crew, it would have almost made him more of a sympathetic bad guy, because he just turns out to be just a piece of shit. But like, I get where it's like, this is so bad. Ignorance is bliss. And I would rather just not know all of this and go live my life in utter bliss and ignorance to this whole horrible hell that we have to live through now. I totally get where he went. Now, once he starts taking the things out of their heads and murdering them, that he kind of goes off the deep edge. But his was the character that had the most development. And that gets me to one of my other issues with this movie, is that there's really no character development in any of these characters. Neo is kind of Neo the whole time, and that's more just a Keanu Reeves thing. And they're all very one-dimensional characters. Morpheus almost feels like a kind of cult leader-ish kind of character, and Trinity has no personality whatsoever.
No.
And there's no chemistry between Trinity and Neo. At no point did I ever believe that they cared about each other, or that it was almost just like, I'm supposed to love you. I love you too. Okay, let's move on.
That's the point I missed making, Kevin. I'm glad
I had a feeling you were going to make that point. Yeah,
it was in the notes. I didn't see it, but God, I'm so glad because I've been chomping at the bit to throw that in there, because that when she said I love you, I was like, nobody on earth is believing that. I mean, the three of us are out after comedy shows. We're at the bar trying to show the chicks like how witty we are. And hey, can I buy you a drink? And we're joking and we're like, bing, bang, boom. What does George Costanza say? I'm bebopping. I'm scatting all over the place. They had 17 words of dialogue the whole film. Not one cheesy like look at each other like, hey, we got something here. Nothing. It just comes from out of nowhere. And it's so unbelievable that when she says it, you just start dying laughing.
Yeah. Yep. No, I totally agree. And then when Cypher's like looking at her and she's in the chair and he's talking to her in the Matrix and he goes, Trinity, you're a beautiful woman. I was like, that's pushing it a little bit. I mean, maybe because it's a lack of options, right? Because most of the human race is dead and you've probably seen 6 girls in your life.
Wouldn't you trying to fuck her long before he's trying to kill her on that ship? I'll throw in my points in there now, but okay, you get the idea.
And so, and also there's a part where he's Neo, I can't remember what Neo's doing, but one of the guys goes, "Oh, Mikey likes it." I was like, you wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know that saying. How would you know that? Where would you have gotten that from? You never saw that commercial. You never. They're
on a spaceship fleeing. They have nothing to do but watch TV on the fucking internet. Yeah, I think they see that commercial.
Watch 80s reruns. That's how they get by. 80s how they while away the days. So the scene where Morpheus and Agent Smith finally interact, and they have that moment where Agent Smith goes off about first of all, Agent Smith is a fantastic character in this. I think he's such a great villain. And he's without a doubt, hands down for me, the best part of this movie. He's so disgusted with his life, with his existence, and with the humans. And when he wipes the sweat,
can become a comedian like we did.
Yeah. I don't think Hugo Weaving is a very funny guy, but when he wipes the sweat off of Morpheus and smells it, you can just feel, it's palpable how much he hates these things. And that scene is so fantastic. And I also love when he and Morpheus were fighting, and Morpheus says to him, "You all look the same to me," which is really funny because a black guy saying it to a white guy. Right. And I thought that was a really funny flip on what's considered, a pretty shitty stereotype. But then the one brother whose name I can't remember, not Dozer, but the other guy.
The main operator, Tank,
right. He gets shot twice with a proton pack in the chest and in the back, and he gets back. His brother is fucking fried chicken on the ground, and he gets back up and he's like, "No,
hold on. Racial slurs now, Kevin, please. We're not trying to get canceled. Black guy fried chicken. That's not necessary. Thank you."
Yeah, I'm on a tear. Sorry about that. That was unintentional. So that was a little ridiculous. And then they're like,
well, they did have a very woke cast for, in 2021, they had, somebody from every kind of genre in there. So in 2021, the cast definitely holds up.
Oh yeah. And it was made by two brothers who became sisters. So, yep. so there's that. This movie is single-handedly responsible for keeping Hot Topic in business. In college, there was a kid who wore a leather trench coat, and he had those Morpheus glasses that didn't have the arms on them, that we never fully could understand. And we'd always see him walking around campus, and whenever we'd see him, we'd go like this.
and he always and then he shut up Newtown High. Got it.
Yeah, but he always thought we were like complimenting him. He'd always pretend like he was shooting at us, and he didn't get we were making fun of him. And that was pretty much my college experience.
You should give him a fork and go, "There is no spoon."
Yeah. The scene where towards the end where Trinity, they're standing outside the phone booth, and Trinity suddenly starts to tell Neo her feelings or about whatever, and the agent, that's when the agent gets there. She couldn't have waited till they were back on the ship. Like, that was such an annoying moment. You have to do this. We were just running for our lives. Half your crew just died, but right now tell me about your feelings. This seems like a good time to have a little moment with us.
That's just like Pirates of the Caribbean, where Keira Knightley and fucking what's his face at the hanging will turn at the very end. I love you. Oh, okay, yeah. Cool. He's about to die, but all right, good to know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in real life, how much do we anguish over telling the person that we've fallen in love with that we love them, right? Because it's usually the guy that says it first, but not always. But point being, no matter who says it first, you're like, I gotta wait for the exact right time. I'm gonna take her to the carnival, and we're gonna go on the Ferris wheel, and it's gonna be like a Hallmark movie, and the whole town's gonna gather around, and I'm gonna get down on my knee, and I'm gonna propose, and everyone's gonna clap, and it'll be Christmas, and everything will be great. No, everyone you love is dead, but I'm gonna tell this guy who I've said 3 words to, I'm in love with him.
It sounds like, by the way, we're trying. Don's about to propose at the Meadowlands State Fair at Giant Stadium parking lot. It sounds like.
Hey, I'm Jersey white trash. I know where to propose.
And for all of the agents' powers, who are they're supposed to be like these perfect killing machines, they are the worst shots next to stormtroopers ever. They never hit anything, and they're supposed to be able to like predict what happens and what goes on, and this brings me to my last point. The Oracle. It never made sense to me why the Oracle knew what was going to happen. I understand that she knows things and she knows where it came from, and maybe she knows about but when she starts going, the whole thing with the vase, and she's like, "Oh, you don't worry about the vase," and then he knocks it over. why is she able to see the future? That doesn't make any sense. And I guess it made a little more sense when I think it was the second movie or the second movie, where they met the architect and he started saying about how this all happened before. And this is, the 7th time this happened or whatever. But it all happened like it happened down to the detail of him knocking over the vase that she knew. That seemed a little out of place for me. But I do really like the Oracle character. And I love that scene where they're in the apartment and they have the weird little Buddhist looking kid bending spoons and they're juggling blocks and whatever. Anyway, overall, I still love this movie.
I knew it. I fucking knew it.
And it does have a lot of problems. A lot of it. I have to admit, it has slipped a little bit. It's not. And I think just because so many incredible science fiction movies and stuff has come out since then, that you start holding it to these standards that have built on it, actually. But the concept of this movie is amazing. The characters aren't great, and there's not a lot of meat to dig into as far as the characters go, other than Agent Smith. But that just goes to show you how great the concept of this movie, the idea of being trapped in a program and not even knowing about it and fighting in this world that's not real and this virtual reality. It still blows my mind. And I still go back to the point where I saw that movie and I remember how blown I was about it. So has it lost maybe half a step? I think so. But does it still hold up, and is it still a great movie for me? Yeah, I will always love this movie.
Number?
An 8.
Oh boy. These notes brought to you by guttingthesacredcow.com. Every day you can find fantastic articles, and a lot of that doesn't happen, where Kevin Israel and I pull out stuff that they try and pass off as regular daily occurrences, but in real life just don't fucking happen. Like in Rocky 3, Rocky and Clubber Lang are trading blows, but no one has their hands covering their fucking face. Give me a goddamn break. And of course, if you want to advertise with us, guttingthesacredcow@gmail.com. Notes: this was one of the last films I can think of that had a kick-ass fucking soundtrack. Don Jamieson, I am disappointed you did not go even deeper, being a music guy, into this soundtrack. Prodigy, Rob Zombie, the list of Rage Against the Machine, the list goes on. That whole tech noir, whatever the fuck you call it, industrial, that's what I meant to say, excuse me, fucking amazing. I have that album. I still listen to it. I hate Marilyn Manson. The one Marilyn Manson song I like, Rock is Dead, the opening fucking song on the album. Yeah. Love it. Love it. Besides American Pie 2 soundtrack and the Tron Legacy soundtrack, I can't think of a good movie soundtrack after the year 2000. That was the year every soundtrack ceased to exist. That was good.
That's a great point. Good point.
Thank you.
What about Judgment Day?
Judgment Night is 1993, my friend.
Oh, I was out of town that week. I forgot.
Judgment Night is a monster soundtrack.
It's top 5 all time. That's top 5.
Good. All right. Cool.
I will put Hackers as my favorite, but it's because I have 3 volumes and I'm cheating, but it's great. And of course, The Crow is also, without a doubt, top of the list as well. Neo in his apartment has a keyboard that was broken into 3 different parts. I never knew anyone who owned a keyboard that was in 3 sections in a big S curve. Who the fuck would own that? That's carpal tunnel waiting for you right there. That doesn't happen. 1999, also the last year that landlines were featured in any movie, and phone booths for that matter. I've never seen a cell phone that drops down with the speaker with the press of the button. I wanted one so badly, and I looked for them in the 90s and 2000s, but I think now that'd be a problem for dudes. If someone bumped into you, that would just knock you right in the dick. Not fun. This movie perfectly summed up what we all thought the future, and more importantly, impending Y2K would bring. Because Kevin and I graduated college in 99 as well. And well, I'll get to that in a minute. Abso-fucking-lutely, completely agree with you. Hugo Weaving is a top 10 movie villain. No room for debate. His speaking mannerism, which I learned about the Wachowskis, he modeled it after, it just grabs you. And when he does the whole humans are compared to viruses speech is fucking amazing. And just, where do they think of this shit? This is brilliant. Switch and Trinity look like they both came from the Lilith Fair. I never knew anyone to rock out Morpheus's shades, but I'm glad Kevin Israel threw a monkey wrench in that point of mine. Cool. Ironic that the guy who tried killing the crew of the Nebuchadnezzar took a dildo in his butt from Janice Soprano.
That would have helped. That would have helped the Matrix.
Yeah. Funny how the current real world in the Matrix looks like current downtown Chicago.
Was it Chicago?
No, that looked like downtown Chicago now.
Now, yeah, the great Gene Siskel said this movie would have been better with a lot more dildos in it. And I quote.
Well, I can hear him saying that.
Yeah. Besides the brain cancer talking. Next one. Instead of eating that oatmeal slop every day, why not upload a cooking program into them while in the Matrix so you learn how to cook something different besides that shit? It's now time for a subtle reminder that Lawrence Fishburne's daughter, Montana, does porn.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Googling.
You can. I'm talking, so you can Google all you want to. We talked about it before, but before people demand this is one big that doesn't happen, know this. In the confines of that this story is told, anything goes. So if that doesn't happen, does not apply to the Matrix because of the story which it's told. I had the Matrix code as my screensaver on my computer for years. I have no shame admitting that. Can we please stop the fasten your seatbelts cliche whenever something is about to happen? That is so fucking trite and hack and ugh. When Neo is with the Oracle and knocked over said vase, he has a 2 to 3 Mississippi to catch that thing instead of watching it tumble to the ground. It hits his jacket and then the wall and then hits the ground. That was a delayed, shitty reaction. I'm not buying that. The lobby gunfight scene is still fucking amazing. Man, I love that scene. Loved it. It's just the music hits you too. You're like, ah. Oh. And parodied very well in the film Scary Movie.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. Yeah, they did this in the movie Scary Movie, which is a funny fucking film.
How many Matrix references did you have in your act after that movie came out?
I wasn't doing Comedy 99, thank God.
Okay.
I remember how this transpired to a T. Kevin Israel, you're right on most of it. The Super Bowl had a 15-second teaser and then told you to go to the website whatisthematrix.com. And like a true nerd jerk off, I went to my computer lab class the next day and did that. And went to was a
computer lab.
I know, right? I know. I saw this in the fucking theater and walked out with my mind shattered to pieces. Usually today I've got 3 pages of notes and jokes, but nope, this is the fewest amount of notes I've ever taken. I was devastated how awful the sequels were, but that video game for PlayStation 2 is awesome. If you have it, find it. It's great. I own this film. Every time it appears on cable, sucked right in. Kevin Israel, you did a better job of trying to gut the sacred cow than Don with those points you made. I want to point that out.
I agree.
The remote test was pretty much designed for this film, Star Wars, Pulp Fiction, Caddyshack, and Shawshank. The effects still hold up, and I buy this story. This story is as airtight as a dolphin's asshole. I'm all in, completely hook, line, and sinker. The characters are memorable, but you're right. They are dry. They're bland. And do you remember the fucking guy with the ponytail who got shot? His name? I had to write it down. APOC. Why? Because he doesn't do shit. The mousy kid, forgot his name too, had to write it down. And you're also very right with the whole, wait a minute, how does she fall in love with him? Because the Oracle said so. That's the only crutch they're leaning on with that. I let that slide. Otherwise, this film it's the most groundbreaking and unique story we have seen Tell me something that you've seen in the last 25 years that's more unique and groundbreaking than The Matrix.
Yeah, that's what I want a grandmother in a 5-floor walk up in the Bronx to predict that I'll fall in love with a woman who hasn't cracked a smile in 30 years.
I don't think that's a focal
point.
She
made wonderful chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah.
She did look like she made a nice cookie.
Yeah. For Christ's sakes, this is the reason why bullet time effects are now around. as tried to be copied by that shitbox movie Swordfish. Hey, at least we got to see Halle Berry's tits in that film. This is in my top 5 of all time films, Don Jamieson. I shit you not. This is a spearhead the remote test. I'd be remiss to give this anything less than a 9.5. This thing is damn near perfect. Damn near perfect. I fucking love it.
Wow.
I absolutely. Wow. You've heard me say this was my top 5.
Oh yeah.
Well, listen, I think Kevin mentioned, Israel mentioned earlier that, so the first time you saw it was with a date, Kevin?
I did too. Yeah, actually, I saw it with my girlfriend at the time as well.
Okay. So that would, to me, that would kind of soften it for me, because you wouldn't want to get angry when I be on a date. Like, I'll admit, I don't make good choices for movies with dates. Like, like I took a date to see Train Spotting, and she ran out halfway through the movie. Film. Yeah, because she was a single mom.
The Human Centipede didn't get her hot and bothered, huh?
She freaked out.
Oh, you mean him popping through the shit-filled toilet in Scotland didn't get her all hot and bothered?
Yeah, she didn't want to go to Applebee's with me after that. I don't know what happened.
Applebee's.
But if I saw it with a date, I probably would have been a little nicer about it. But it is what it is.
I so fucking love this film. I think it's fantastic. And this is an absolute assault. This is a war crimes against the Hague level of awful with those sequels that they threw out there. Those were just...
Oh, yeah. Terrible. Terrible.
I mean, the last battle in the third one with the Smith is fine, but everything else, horse shit. Let's see what those queefs who got their English degrees think. Critics 5-star reviews. Whoa. A film that, without a doubt, left its mark on cinema and pop culture. One of the best sci-fi films of all time. The Matrix isn't just a movie. It's an entire philosophy that also examines metamorphosis and personal transformations to mirror the Wachowski. Wait. To mirror the Wachowskis' own personal journeys as trans women. Here's that progressive train, guys. Jump on or be sent to the cornfields forever. The Matrix still stands up as a fiercely exciting and discombobulating futurist drama, which pioneered the breathtaking bullet time action sequences, inspired by Asian martial arts. And my personal favorite review of this bunch, Neil offers Reeves. Okay, there you go. The perfect combination of Ted Theodore Logan's curiosity, and wonder, Johnny Utah's earnestness, and the badassness of Jack Traven.
So more dildos, or
not enough?
A lot of dildos.
They just wanted. They just wanted to fucking shoehorn the fact that they could recite 3 of Keanu Reeves' characters other than Neo. That's what that was. Fuck you. Could anyone ever pull out Jack Traven? No. I like Speed. I think Speed's fun. It's great, but
I like Jack Tripper.
Jack Tripper, damn right.
My hero.
My favorite.
I'm going to revise my Die Hard score to a 2 because The Matrix was worse than Die Hard.
I guess Jack Palance doesn't get any love amongst the Jacks around here. Okay. Critics.
Nope. He can do one-hand push-ups, though.
He's a strong fuck. Critics 1-star reviews. The Wachowskis have borrowed bits from here, there, and everywhere, and then they put them on their genital area. Hey-o! Thank you. And then they have ended up creating a 2-hour and 15-minute jumble of cultural and philosophical references with violence to spare, but precious little clarity or logic. Word soup, party of 3.
He's got a thesaurus.
Do these people think do they talk like this when just hanging out at I don't know, a bar? This conversation, I find you to be lacking clarity or logic, but damn, those D cups are just fantastic.
If you weren't so didactic.
I find your logic elementary and pedantic at best, but I love a tramp stamp. That means you're an easy catch. There's not much humor to keep it all life-size, and by the final stretch, it's become bloated, mechanical, and tiresome.
Much like my act.
Is that what VH1 said when they canceled that metal show?
Yeah, pretty much.
Fuck them. It's a great show. At least the Wachowskis attempted to do something different than what had been seen before, even if the finished product isn't quite the success they obviously yearned for. Motherfucker made $650 million. I think that's a success. God, I hate fucking critics. The Matrix is to overblown silliness, as to Mount Rushmore is to big stoneheads.
All right.
That doesn't resonate at all.
No.
I know geography.
Yeah.
Or I know national landmarks. That's a better thing to say. Amazon 5-star reviews. A couple of these are wordy, but believe me, worth it. The Matrix is a classic film and will continue to appreciate as we ascend into the technological advancements of today's world. It's incredibly odd watching this movie 20 years later and somehow seeing how the assumptions of the internet, technology, and society were addressed here. All that withheld, it's still a great piece of sci-fi action that has been rarely met with a competitor or similar style. Yes. Wow. I just said I wanted the chicken parm, dude. That's all. Basically, The Matrix is breaking down modern systems of control in the world. The days of dictatorships that try to run people's lives via police state are over. Today's systems like racism, sexism, classism, etc., work via controlling people's minds and how they think and see the world. More insidious is that people are brought up within these systems and don't even know they exist, just like Neo before he is freed. This theme is played out throughout the entire movie.
Jesus.
Signed, Alex Jones.
That sounded more boring than the dialogue in the movie.
Yeah. I am the biggest movie buff that I know. I have seen thousands of movies. 17 years after the Warner Brothers released this movie, it amazingly remains to be, for my time, my favorite movie. XDD, I don't know what that is. It has everything: action, sci-fi, adventure, mystery, romance. Slow down, Junior. And a hell of a unique story that is well written, produced, and directed. To coin a phrase from an earlier Keanu Reeves movie, excellent. One of the best movies ever. I understand how a generation that was born after cell phones, PCs, and the internet were commonplace might find it hard to appreciate just how awe-inspiring this movie was, and for many still is. Keanu Reeves, you just had my heart from the first time I saw you in Paula Abdul's video, Rush Rush. I knew that.
Wow.
I had no idea.
Who wrote that? Kevin Israel?
I love Rush Rush. Back off.
He's more of an MC scat kind of fellow with opposites attract.
Right. I'm going up, you're going down.
I knew that then you were a star. I wish you continued success in your career. Just take all the hard hits on the chin and keep getting up. Like Johnny Mnemonic, right. Was she still giving the hurrah, hurrah after Johnny Mnemonic? What a piece of shit that was.
That was a bad one.
What a great soundtrack. Also throw that in the mix. Amazon 1-star reviews. Kevin Israel, right up your alley. 13 blasphemies. Not sure why Hollywood insists on blaspheming God, but it does. Jesus' name is the only one you'll ever hear used as a cuss word. Cuss word. Wonder why. How about Jesus Christ, you loosen up your silly cunt. Now I just have 11 more to tie the Matrix.
So they would be happier if people just went, holy Buddha.
Yeah. Except she should. P.S. The N-word is okay. Just kidding.
Yeah.
I love this movie when it came out. It ruins the third wall when some of these words are overdubbed. Every F word is dubbed over. I love this movie. By the way, I don't remember them saying fuck, but then again,
I don't think they said it once in the movie.
Right.
Isn't the movie PG?
No, it's R, but it's because of violence, not because of cursing. I love this movie and still won't ask for a refund, but I'm a grown man. I can handle the F word. After this, to the seas I go to search for a full booty a booty full of F-word versions. His version of booty is a lot different than my booty and your booty and Jeffrey Epstein's booties, I bet, right?
Yeah.
Well, at least Jeffrey Epstein could watch the film with his girlfriends. There's no F-bombs.
Yeah, he had to buy them tickets to go see it if it's still in the theater, though.
Yeah.
Lousy. A waste of my money on Amazon rental. Thank God I did not purchase this poorly directed movie. It was just a show and tell sort of film. Regretfully, Doc Carroll.
He pitched for the Mets, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He once he ran by the showers and did a towel snap on Sid Fernandez's ass. It's a big ass too.
Oh, yes.
I canceled this film minutes into it. I should like a refund, but more importantly, I should like Amazon. This is good. Kevin Israel. This is new territory for us. I should like Amazon to arrange a system where customers can cancel within a short period without a charge. Your system makes that impossible, just as it resists your company's learning of the shortcoming (parentheses) illustrative or Amazon's resistance to criticism in general. Poor corporate relations.
You start doing that for mainstream Hollywood films. Next thing you know, you're going to want to do that with porn. Hey, I only made it a minute in. I want my money back. That's the 500th time this year, sir.
Can somebody come clean up my sheets?
Yeah. Hey, this is bullshit. The first guy, he didn't shoot a load. He dribbled out of his dick like he was sneezing. The actual meaning of this movie is well hidden. Stop using red pill as a reference. This is actually a communist movie.
Ugh, fuck yourself.
And one for Don.
Well, no, wait, Kevin. Yeah. Kevin, hear him out. I mean, there was that whole scene where Trump was getting peed on by the Russian prostitute. Don't forget that.
You had a different version than I did.
This went up Don Jamieson's road. Carrie-Anne Moss, about as much sex appeal as Jodie Foster.
No, I didn't say that. I said she looked really good in the leather pants, and she's a nice-looking gal. But the only way that there was going to be a romance between Keanu Reeves and Sarah-Ann Moss,
Carrie,
was if she took one of those pills and he was Bill Cosby.
There it is.
Or he was boofing those pills with her. Red pill in my ass, blue pull up your ass. I love that word boofing. It's so great. Kevin Israel, the Don Jamieson Gut the Sacred Cow.
I love Don Jamieson.
I do too.
I do. I adore Don Jamieson, but I'm sorry, Don. This movie was just too big for any of us. The Matrix is just an iconic science fiction movie that I think will survive the cockroaches. So you made a lot of awesome points, and I agree with much of what you said. The characters were boring. A lot of the dialogue is kind of ridiculous. I hate to bring up more stuff, but it just stuck out to me. The scene where Neo first wakes up and Tank walks in and is talking. And he goes, "This is a very exciting day." Very exciting. And it's like, no, who talks like that? Nobody. It was ridiculous. So Don, you didn't make a lot of great points, but I think the Matrix is going to continue onward.
Well, thank you. And listen, I appreciate, and all the gutters, when this airs, come at me. But be fair, because Kevin was almost as brutal as I was in a lot of ways. So, you could take me down, you could tear me apart, but just know, no matter how much you tear me up, just, have a little place in your heart to know that after this airs, I'll never be able to pee standing next to Lawrence Fishburne again.
Especially when you ask him how his daughter is doing with a dick in her butt.
Yeah. Well, I've watched her movies more than him in The Matrix. But I think Kevin made a good point just in closing. The one thing I will say, to be very, very fair, is sometimes time isn't always good on films. I think that's definitely a big part of it for me, because I remember seeing it when it came out. I didn't like it much then, but over time, yes, it's like I couldn't get into Kiss now. you got to get into Kiss when you're 13. So it just doesn't age well sometimes. And I think that's a big part of it, but still give it a 1.
I never got in a Kiss now or then as a kid. I just don't. Okay. That's for your show to discuss on that. Speaking of that show, Don, why don't you tell us again, what are you up to? Where we can find you? What you got cooking?
Yeah, out doing gigs. And, I'm on the Instagram and the Twitter and the Facebook and all those fun places where we show so much love to our fellow human beings. So find me on there and cuss me out, but come out and buy a ticket to a show. We're back. Live comedy is back. And of course, go see the Kevins as well. And check me out on that Jamieson show at compoundmedia.com.
Kevin Israel. Yeah, man.
KevinIsrael.com for my dates and shows coming up. I'm at Foxwoods Casino up in Connecticut at least once a month. So if you're up there, come check me out. And more importantly, leave us a 5-star rating and a quick sentence review. It helps us. It helps boost the visibility of our platform and makes more people get to listen to exciting reviews like what Don Jamieson just gave us. And we want more fans. We want more people to know about us. And you can contribute just by clicking 5 stars and leaving I love these guys. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. Just 25 cents a day, and you could feed Kevin and Kevin.
And so that fat fuck Sally Struthers, is she still alive or not?
Yeah, she died eating an Ethiopian kid.
She'd still be.
Wow.
What? She choked on one of the many bones because there wasn't much skin there. All right. Shitty fucking Ethiopian jokes. What was this? Was this Live Aid 1989? KevinGoatee.com. NFL season will be coming around soon, so you can check out my picks. I'm a lot better than Don Jamieson's network partner, Gino Bisconti. That's for sure. His picks are terrible, but I love Gino. Gino's fucking great. Actually, he's due for a return visit on this show too. KevinGoatee.com, guttingthesacredcow.com for all the blogs we do every single day. You want to advertise with us, guttingthesacredcow@gmail.com, or just drop by and say hi. And we are selling our stickers, $3 for one or 3 for $5. Just DM us wherever you catch us and subscribe to us on YouTube. We're getting closer and closer to monetization. Just turn off the notifications. We don't give a shit as long as you subscribe. That's all we fucking want. Don Jamieson, man, we love hanging out with you. And holy shit,
the best, Don.
I look at the clock and we have gone an hour and a half. That's a long time. I think that breaks Landau's record when he did Good Will Hunting of time. So well done.
It was really fun, guys. I love the podcast, man. And I hope you guys make $1 million on it.
We're trying.
Me too.
God knows we're fucking trying.
Or at least 100.
We'll take it.
$100 would be just quite dandy too. Kevin Goatee, Kevin Israel, thanking Don Jamieson. We'll see you guys next time. Later.